Welcome into our Mountain West Women's Basketball Tournament preview show presented by your Northern Nevada Toyota dealers. He's Chris Murray. I'm Shannon Kelly. What a week it is shaping up to be in Las Vegas, and over the next half an hour, we'll dive into the Women's Championship. What a week it should be, Chris, as the Mountain West aiming to get two teams back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2010. UNLV aiming for a three-peat. They would be the first team to do so since Boise State won 4 in a row back from 2017 through 2020.
And 2 bids is a possibility because UNLV is so good this year in the AP Top 25 that they are probably in the bracket regardless of whether they win this conference tournament. Now, it's going to take a huge effort for somebody to beat UNLV, unlike on the men's side where there's great balance at the top of the Mountain West. It is UNLV and the rest of the pack, but we'll go through some of the teams trying to knock off the Rebels, and maybe UNLV maybe not quite as motivated and eager, knowing that it already has a seed locked up in the NCAA tournament, but I think they will come out and play some pretty good basketball throughout the week.
The Lady Rebels currently ranked in 23rd in the AP Top 25 poll, have a net in the top 30, so as you said, they should be in one way or another. Let's see what can happen, though, down in Las Vegas. Let's take a look at the bracket. UNLV, obviously the number 1 seed, New Mexico claiming the number 2 seed, Wyoming at number 3, and then Nevada at number 4. Colorado State right behind at number 5. Chris, wow, what a day it's shaping up to be on the Monday, but
yeah,
man, there's still 3 games as well on the Sunday.
I mean, the thing that stuck out to me is the logjam in 4th place. It was a 4-way tie for 4th place. Only 2 of those 4 teams got the byes, those teams being Nevada and Colorado State, who will meet in the quarterfinal, whereas Boise State and San Diego State have to play a first-round game. So that's very fortunate for Nevada. Had really good head-to-head matchups with Boise State, with San Diego State, sweeping those games. But yeah, it's going to be a fun bracket. I feel like outside of UNLV, you look at the next 6 or 7 teams, and they are all pretty evenly matched. So we'll see who plays their best basketball in Las Vegas and moves on to have that challenge against playing the Lady Rebels, who have been so fantastic. But outside of that top team, there is a lot of parity right in the middle of the bracket. So I think a lot of different permutations could happen as we head into the week.
Nevada, Colorado State, Boise State, San Diego State all finished Mountain West play with a 10-8 record. When was the last time that happened? Had to have been quite some time, a 4-way tie there in the middle of the standings. But diving in to this Nevada team, the Wolfpack heads down to Las Vegas, earns a bye in the Mountain West tournament for the first time in 2 years. Chris, can the Wolfpack advance? Can the Wolfpack move on, get past that first game? Wolfpack 6-6 in the Mountain West tournament under head coach Amanda Levins.
There are 2 things Nevada does really, really well. They're shooting the three-pointer fantastically. This is the best three-point shooting team since Amanda Levins' first team at Nevada 7 years ago. Nevada second in Mountain West play, shooting 34.3% from 3. And they also create a lot of turnovers, creating 16 turnovers per game in Mountain West play. That's also second best in the Mountain West. So they're stealing extra possessions, and they're able to make teams pay from the three-point line. Now, there are some weaknesses. On the interior, they don't get a ton of scoring. Rebounding can sometimes be a problematic point against some of the larger teams in the Mountain West. But Nevada has performed pretty well against the Mountain West best teams. They were swept by UNLV, but 5-5 against the top 7 teams in this conference. So I think they do match up well with a lot of teams that they're going to play. This is the 3rd year in the last 4 where Nevada has gotten that bye into the quarterfinals. The big question is can they get past that quarterfinal round? Because after Amanda Levins' first year at Nevada, when they made it all the way to the Mountain West Championship game where they lost to Boise State on a last-second layup, have not been back to the semifinals since then. So this is a team that seems prepared to maybe make it to the semifinals where they would face potentially a UNLV team, but we'll see if they can get that done at the Thomas and Mack.
5 of Nevada's Mountain West wins this season were by a combined 7 points. The Wolfpack has played a lot of close games this year, and that's something that's been an Achilles heel for the Wolfpack the last couple of seasons. Coach Levins has talked so much about that, closing out those close games, and that's going to be crucial to remember. They closed out a close game against New Mexico just a week ago at the Pit. Can they do it on the road again to try and advance?
And a couple of huge wins over Boise State, sweeping them for the first time since entering the Mountain West. Both of those games were exceptionally close. One went to overtime. One was a 1-point win down there in Boise. So I think playing all those close games and having some success in them, that really does help you when you get into the postseason, because you have a belief that when these games are going to be close, and they're going to be close, that you're going to find a way to make the big play, to get the big stop, to hit the big 3, to make the big free throw, to carry you on to the next round. Nevada has that experience. 11 games this year decided by 4 points or fewer or overtime. So Nevada is prepared for those moments. They've been battle tested heading into March.
All right, here is Coach Levens and Tori Davis as they recap the season and what it's going to take to win some games down in Las Vegas.
I'm really proud of our team. I mean, in the preseason and even conference play at the beginning, we didn't start well in conference play. We were picked pretty low in the standings. And, I think our team was motivated by that. And just with the injuries we had in preseason, losing Claire in the middle of conference season, I think they've just really rallied around each other and stuck together and found a way just to keep getting better.
I feel like a lot of people counted us out. I feel like, especially coming into the season, we were picked really low, I believe 8th, and now finishing 4th. It just is a big statement that we can go toe-to-toe with whoever we play, and I feel like when we step on that court, we have a lot of confidence that we can win. So I'm ready to play whoever they put in front of us.
You got to win for the game you're in, 40 minutes, and it doesn't matter how. You have to, everybody wears a shirt, survive in advance. That's really what it is. Can you win the game if it's ugly? Can you win the game if it's high scoring? You got to figure out how to win that game, and that's the only thing that matters, because if you don't, you're going home. And so we have some players that have had experience in that. We have some freshmen that haven't, and sometimes not having that experience is a good thing, because you don't know what you don't know, and you just go play. But we're just excited. I'm really, like I said, proud of our team for securing a first-round bye. I don't think anybody thought we could do that.
So the Wolfpack has earned that first round bye. Coach Levens proud of her group. Now they'll face the Rams for a third time this season. They split during the regular season. Chris, Nevada's best game of the year came against Colorado State at Lawler Event Center, and then they fell in a close game in Fort Collins. They had a chance to come back and win it, but in the end the Rams got this one. So we'll see how this one can shake out, but they just played each other about a week ago.
If you look at the regular season matchups, this does seem favorable for Nevada. Absolutely dominated the Rams at home, and then when they won on the road to Fort Collins, Nevada had trailed for only 19 seconds in the first 3 quarters. Colorado State did go on a 10-0 run late in the third quarter, a 10-0 run to open the fourth quarter to win that game by 3, but the Wolfpack was dominant in the first game for sure. And they probably outplayed Colorado State in the second game. The big stat for me in this one, Colorado State, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the nation, 36% from beyond the arc. That's 22nd in the country. But 2 of their worst 5 three-point shooting games this entire season against Nevada, just 9 of 43 from 3 against the Wolfpack. That's 21%. I don't know if that was Nevada's defense or maybe just some off nights for Colorado State. Colorado State has a phenomenal player, McKenna Hofschild, probably the best player in the Mountain West. She averages 22 points and 7 rebounds per game. But the supporting cast is not great. If the supporting cast is knocking down threes, Nevada's probably going to be in trouble. If the Wolfpack can limit them from 3, I think Nevada has a really good chance of moving on. If they do that, they're going to face UNLV. That's a completely different challenge. But I think getting back to the semifinals for the first time since 2018 would be big for this program.
It would be a huge step, no doubt. Here is Coach Levens and Tori Davis on taking on the Rams for a third time.
For sure. Maybe they can bring some elementaries out down there just to make it a three-peat. But, yeah, we've had some great battles with them. They have, a tremendous point guard, one of the best, I think, in the country, and she has some great players all around her as well. And so it's nice that we played them so recently because it's pretty familiar to our players, and I'm sure we're familiar to them. But I think it's just going to be a battle.
I think it's a good matchup. I feel like we split them. I know the first game was a blowout and the second game was a really close game. So I feel like now this third game is who wants it more and who's going to do the little things that it takes to win.
So the Wolfpack and Rams played in front of 2 big crowds, Chris, both here at Lawler Event Center, then over at Moby Arena. Maybe not as much of a big crowd at the Thomas and Mack Center, but Nevada has played at the Thomas and Mack Center already this year when they faced UNLV, so they've already played on that floor.
And that's usually where they play at Cox Pavilion for UNLV Lady Rebels home game. So, yeah, those are big elementary school days. I don't think elementary schools are going to be in session at Thomas and Mack, but like you said, Nevada has some experience there. We'll see if that pays off when they face off on Monday.
Should we call up the Clark County School District? Maybe they could send some kids out for the Mountain West tournament this week. All right, our coverage here rolls on as we'll take a look at the rest of the bracket, some of the contenders, and talk about the Lady Rebels right after this. Welcome back to our Mountain West Women's Basketball Tournament preview show. Taking a look now, starting off with the Lady Rebels, the defending Mountain West champions, are going for a three-peat, Chris. Back-to-back-to-back regular season championships, aiming for back-to-back-to-back tournament titles now. And Lindy LaRock has got this program rolling in just her 4th year at UNLV, a 99-21 record in 4 seasons at UNLV. And watching the Lady Rebels play, they've outlasted Nevada. I haven't seen them much against other teams, but they're very, very physical.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 wins over Nevada by 45 points at home and 26 points on the road. So this is a phenomenal team. The last 2 seasons, 58-5. Now, they did lose a regular season game this year to New Mexico. They went perfect in the regular season last year, so we do know they bleed. There is potential to potentially beat them because Boise State played them close. They actually were in a number of games that were maybe a little bit closer than you would have expected, given how well the overall record was. I think for UNLV, the big goal is, can you win an NCAA tournament game? The Mountain West has not won an NCAA tournament game since 2010 when San Diego State got to the Sweet 16. 13 straight losses for this conference in the Big Dance. Obviously, we're talking about the conference tournament. UNLV has to take care of business here first, but I think the big long-term goal is getting the Mountain West back winning games in the NCAA tournament. I think this UNLV team can do it.
And that was something at the beginning of the season during Mountain West Conference Media Days that Coach LaRock said that she scheduled tougher this season to try and get her girls prepared. She said, we're not satisfied. We want to go out there and we want to win some games. Now, can they do it this year? This is a squad that returns 9 of its 12 players from last year's championship team, including 3 starters. So they certainly have the experience, no doubt.
Yeah, and when you've been there a couple of times and they've been there in back-to-back tournaments, you start to feel more comfortable against that level of play. You start to feel like you belong. You start to feel like you should be able to win some games. Last year's loss to Michigan by 12 points, the year before Arizona, and an even tighter game. And I think getting a good seed is important. The Mountain West has not had a single-digit seed in the NCAA tournament since 2010. That puts them in difficult positions. As we mentioned, UNLV is ranked. You'd think they would get a single-digit seed, but they were ranked last year and they still didn't get a single-digit seed. So that net of 30, I think, puts them in line for maybe a 5 or a 6 or a 7 seed. We'll see if they get that respect and maybe have a more favorable matchup when it does come to the NCAA tournament.
So UNLV will take on the winner of Air Force and Fresno State. Moving on now to the number 2 seed, New Mexico. The Lobos bouncing back after that loss to Nevada, going on the road at Fresno State, picking up a victory to close out the regular season, able to get it done and get the 2 seed. Now, will it be it'll be a chance for them to really make some noise, and they're on the other side of the bracket. Gone back to back to back at the WNIT, but obviously aiming for more.
Yeah, and this is the team that did beat UNLV, and that was actually in Las Vegas. So they should feel pretty confident if that matchup does matriculate in the Mountain West Tournament championship game. New Mexico does have 4 players. They're averaging double figures. A more defensive-oriented team. They've only allowed 5 teams the entire season out of 30 games to score at least 68 points. So this is a very well-rounded team. They did take that tough loss to Nevada, but they ended the regular season with a win to get that number 2 seed. So this is probably your second best team in the Mountain West. But like we said to open the show, really teams 2 through 7 are all fairly close together, fairly flat there. So it'll be interesting to see if New Mexico can make it all the way to that Mountain West title game.
The Lobos 19-1 this season when scoring 60-plus points. That's kind of their magic number. That lone loss was against Nevada last week. So let's see what the Lobos can do. They'll face the winner of San Diego State and San Jose State. Moving on now to Boise State. The Broncos coming so close to getting a bye, Chris, but falling just short, being the number 6 seed. They won the Mountain West Tournament in 2015, then in 2017 through 2020, won 4 years in a row there. Broncos looking to get back to a place they haven't been now in a few seasons.
Yeah, I mean, they did take a dip, but they are kind of back at the top of the Mountain West. Unfortunately for them, tiebreakers didn't go in their manner, so they are playing a first-round game. You mentioned their 5 Mountain West tournament titles under head coach Gordy Presnell. He's a phenomenal coach. 3-5 in games decided by 6 points or fewer, so they did struggle kind of in close games in the Mountain West. Now, some of that, can be some luck and some bad luck in certain situations. So I think this is a very strong team. I think they've got good depth. They've got 6 different players who average at least 6.5 points per game. They've got pretty good size as well. Not playing their best basketball right now. They did lose their last 2 games. So we'll see if they can turn it up when they get down to Vegas. And winning 4 games, in the tournament setting is not easy to do, them not getting that bye. But this is a team that can make a run, I feel like.
They can. They have one of the best shot blockers in the Mountain West in Abby Muse, and then Natalie Pasco, one of the best 3-point shooters. So if they can both be on, can the Broncos keep rolling all around? Moving on now to Colorado State. As we've already talked about, the Rams, they'll face Nevada, but led by McKenna Hofschild. Chris, she's been one of the best players in the Mountain West for quite some time now as she's about to cap off her career with the Rams. As you said, she doesn't necessarily have the best supporting cast, though. Can they make a run if they're not having their best night.
And I think that's the big question. She averages 22.6 points per game. The second leading scorer for the Rams, just 8 points per game. That's Sydney Meach. She's a very good shooter, Sydney is. And I think it will come down to the three-point ball for Colorado State. As we said, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the nation. When you are playing all of these games kind of back-to-back-to-back settings, do you have your legs under you to shoot those threes? That's the big question. But when you have McKenna Hofschild on your team, you got to feel really confident going into every single game. She takes up so much of the usage rate. She is such a fantastic player, very good defensively as well. When she's on the court, she is the best player on the court.
She's one of 2 players in Division I basketball to be averaging 20 points and 7 assists so far this season, joining Caitlin Clark from Iowa.
That's good company.
You're in good company there. And she is the only player in Colorado State basketball history, men's or women's, to record 3 seasons with 200-plus assists as well. That's pretty good. She's really cemented herself in the record books. It'd be great to see her go off on a high note with the Rams. Now taking a look at Wyoming, who enters as the number 3 seed. They'll face the winner of Boise State and Utah State. Wyoming's been pretty strong with Allison Fertig, one of the best shooters in the Mountain West, shooting almost 60% from the floor this year. But do they have the supporting cast to get it done too?
Yeah, that's a big question. They're good in the post. They're very, very good defensively, maybe the best defensive team in the Mountain West. Fertig is 6'3". She comes from Douglas High School, not our Douglas High School in Wyoming, but probably the second best post player in this conference behind UNLV's Desiree Young. So, Wyoming, a very solid team. I mean, they've been really good for a really long time, and they are certainly a contender, and they are on the right side of the bracket opposite of UNLV.
Wyoming has yet to win a Mountain West championship title as well. Could this be the year? Hey, maybe. We'll see. All right, coming up next year on our Mountain West Tournament Preview Show, we'll take a look at the story of Izzy Sullivan, hailing from Ireland and Washington, calls both home. We'll have her story right after this. Welcome back to our Mountain West Women's Basketball Tournament Preview Show. Nevada freshman Izzy Sullivan is making her mark as the Pac's premier three-point shooter this season, and her journey to the hardwood is different than most.
Sullivan, 3, yes!
Izzy Sullivan may have never stepped foot on the hardwood if she grew up where she was born.
I actually think about that a lot. I'll ask my mom, if I was in Ireland, what do you think I would have played? I always joke with my mom, how I wanted to play football, but she never let me play it, so.
When she was 2 years old, Sullivan's family would relocate from Dublin to Washington State due to her father's job as a project manager with Microsoft.
He only planned to stay for 2 years, but then he just liked it there, so that's why the whole family was thinking he was going to come back, and then they just ended up staying.
Sullivan's parents would enroll her in a Parks and Rec basketball league when she was 5. And the rest is history.
I had a hoop in my driveway, so I would just play outside all the time, and I just got obsessed with it, and I was the one who told my mom I wanted to play on a club team.
As a sharpshooting high schooler, it didn't take much for Sullivan to stand out to Nevada's head coach, Amanda Levins.
We were recruiting a post player on her team, and so we were following that team around, watching, and every time I watched them play, I was like, gosh, I really like that guard. Every time I saw her play, she just kept catching my eye more and more. She was a playmaker, a three-point shooter. We kind of got on her a little bit late, and it turned out to just be a perfect fit.
The first-year guard is making her presence felt this season, earning a program record 4 Mountain West Freshman of the Week honors and leading the Pac in three-point shooting, nailing almost 40% of her shots from beyond the arc.
I wouldn't say surprised myself, but I feel like it was a testament to learning and working hard.
Izzy hits for the lead.
She's so smart. She's such a high IQ basketball player. She put together consistent practices, and that led to more opportunities. And the more opportunities she got, the better she played.
Growing up immersed in Gaelic football and hurling, Sullivan is the first in her family to play college basketball.
Even though they had to kind of learn it, once I got really into it, it's they're just super proud of me, and they're always texting me about different accomplishments or just how I'm doing. And some people in Ireland have hoops in their driveway now, so they'll want to play or should tell me to show them how to dribble, but sometimes it's just with a soccer ball. It's not always a basketball.
The dual citizen cherishes every moment with her family when she visits overseas.
One thing on my dad's side of the family is they always like to get together on Sundays, and the whole side of the family, and so I always appreciate that going there. I also really like the food too, so I'll eat pretty unhealthy when I'm there, so that's one thing I really miss is the food there.
I don't blame her. I'd probably eat pretty unhealthy too. Going to Ireland. Chris.
Yeah, that's probably not the most healthy place to go out there and eat, but I think this is going to be a great experience for her. Daimo Maxey plays a really big role. She's a freshman. You look at this team, they don't really lose any really starters or hugely key players coming into next year. So, going out to the Mountain West Tournament will be a new experience for them. We'll see how they fare, but I think it will make them much better for the future as they kind of get that feeling what the postseason looks like.
All right, we'll wrap up our show with some predictions and picks right after this. Welcome back. Wrapping things up with some picks and predictions. Full disclosure here, when Chris and I make our picks and our predictions, we do not talk to each other about the picks or the predictions.
Well, we got the same picks.
But we have the same ones.
Yeah.
This has happened before.
This has happened. So for the winner, I'm going UNLV. I don't know how you could pick anybody else. I'm not saying UNLV is 100% going to win, but it does seem, pretty close to. They're a very big favorite. I guess I'll just put it that way. So I'm picking UNLV. My MVP is going to be Desiree Young, probably the best center on the West Coast. She actually only had 2 scholarship offers coming out of high school. So I thought that was really interesting, kind of looking into her a little bit deeper over the last couple of weeks. My dark horse to win the tournament, Boise State. You can't be a dark horse if you have a bye. And you look at the teams that don't have byes. Utah State, San Jose State, Air Force, Fresno State not winning this tournament. Although Mia Jacobs for Fresno State's a fantastic player. So then that leaves it down to Boise State or San Diego State. Boise State kind of has that championship pedigree. So I'm going the Broncos as my potential dark horse.
Well, our picks are pretty similar.
Well, give your rationale.
I'll give my rationale. Okay. UNLV, because of what they've been able to do this season, 1 loss to their name during Mountain West play, and it was a close game. We've seen how dominant they've been, putting up more than 100 points in 3 Mountain West games this year. Desiree Young as my MVP. She has more than 1,000 rebounds to her name. She's almost eclipsed 2,000 points during her career with the Lady Rebels. That's pretty phenomenal. She's almost an automatic double-double. And then for my dark horse, I'm going with Boise State as well. They start off with Utah State. I think they could beat them. Then they go on to face Wyoming. They've split with the Cowgirls during the regular season. They fell in Laramie. And if New Mexico can move on and get to the semifinals, they beat the Lobos twice during the regular season. So
yeah,
the Broncos
I think the key
are
is
my
just
pick.
Be as far away from UNLV as you can be. So
I'm with you on that.
We'll see what the title game holds, and we'll see if Nevada can make a run. It's going to be really fun. A lot of great basketball coming out.
It will be. It will be. All right, he's Chris Murray. I'm Shannon Kelly. Thanks for joining us here inside our NSN studios. We'll see you next time.